for us, this is what it was. It was God saying, you guys need to make this. Like I'm pulling you guys together. This is meant to be. Go do it. Make this message for the world of hope. Make this message of, again, that undeserved grace. That was the starting point.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Director's Notes. We're turning our attention back to the Oscars today, and in particular, the race for the Best Short Animated Film Award. We've already spoken to most of the filmmakers in contention for this prize, and you can see those interviews on our YouTube channel or on our website, directorsnotes.com. However, today we're extremely privileged to be joined by Nathan Engelhardt and Jeremy Spears, the co-directors of nominated short Forevergreen. So thanks so much for joining us, Jeremy and Nathan. I imagine things have been pretty hectic for you since those Oscar nominations were announced. How have the last couple of weeks been?
It's been a ride.
It's
Yep.
been a crazy ride. Yeah,
Mhm.
we had the Academy Luncheon yesterday, and it was just so fantastic. Everyone always says it's such a like one of their favorite events to go to, where you can mingle with the other nominees and stuff. And so it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we got to meet all the other directors of all the other short films and the animated. It's just like such a wonderful chance, yeah, to just have a moment together to just kind of celebrate each other's work and say,
Yeah.
that we're just glad to be a part of this together. It's been a long year
Mhm.
for all of us, and all the other films that aren't in this five that are so masterfully done. So we also we look to all those great experiences we had with everybody going through all this. But yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, it must be. Did you get any, do you have any starstruck moments when you were at that luncheon yesterday?
Oh my goodness, yes. Jeremy, go ahead and share your one.
Well, no, there was a fun moment. I ended up being on stage with our producer on Zootopia 2. She was behind me, but also next to her was Mr. Steven Spielberg. And so it was really nice to get to meet him. He's obviously he's so many people's heroes, but he was one of mine. It's one of the reasons why I got into filmmaking was Jurassic Park. I realized, like, oh, you can make dinosaurs real and in this way and make a young kid believe that, anything's possible. It was just that was the movie for me. I think that really sparked my interest. I loved animation and everything before that, but um, yeah, so that was really cool. And the fact that he shared that he saw our film
Oh, wow.
and that that he really enjoyed it. So it was just a real treat.
Yeah. And in my moment, I mean, I wish I was there to meet Spielberg as well, but I get to live vicariously through Jeremy.
He was like six rows back,
Well, no,
right there.
he was by me before, and then they moved him down towards you. I was like, no, and then Guillermo del Toro was so fantastically generous with his time, and I loved Frankenstein. Made me want to be a better father. I got to tell him that, and got to just hang out. I mean, it was so cool. Like you don't, it's like a once in a lifetime. Sometimes not even that, just to be able to do that. And so we feel so grateful, and that everyone was just so kind and generous. Even these big names in Hollywood that you would think would be so unapproachable, they were so generous with their time, and we're so grateful for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's always great to hear that these directors are actually, in touch with short film. Um,
Mhm.
and I've spoke to quite a few of the Oscar nominated directors before, and they said, "Oh, like Spielberg's seen my film." It's like, what? I mean, what more could you want, right?
It's pretty
Oh,
incredible.
great.
I mean, he's in it. I mean, he loves the craft, and so
Yeah.
you believe it. It's when sees it and he says like specific things about it. It's just really neat.
So when you started your journey making Forever Green, I'm not sure how long ago that was. Did you ever imagine that this is where you'd end up?
No,
Not at all.
no.
I think we always, when you get into into this business where you're making entertainment, you're making characters and worlds and you're creating it for audiences. Like, all that we typically think about is it is fun to sit in the back of a theater once you finish a film. We've worked at Disney all these years, Nathan and I, and so we get this experience with Disney films. where you sit in the back and you know the film so well because you've been working on it for so long, and then you finally get to see the reactions, and you're just waiting for that joke to land, or that, suspense moment that they don't have any idea about, but you know. So with this film as well, this was our first time to direct a film, and so it was extra special with that.
Mhm.
I
Okay, so
forgot what your
let's.
question. I forgot what your
No.
initial
Did you
question
expect
was.
us to be there?
Yeah, yeah. No, you got it. You answered it. It's been a crazy journey. That's what we get from that. So yeah, let's talk about the film. Let's actually dive into that. So Forevergreen is available online. If you haven't watched it, everyone out there, please do go and watch it. It's essentially the tale of an orphaned bear who finds who's kind of looking for help and assistance, and he finds it in a really unexpected place. So we'll dive into the themes and the craft. But I mean, that the way I've summed it up there probably makes it sound quite simple. And essentially, it is a simple story, but I was really struck by the kind of complexity of themes that you managed to have running through the storyline. There's so much that I looked at it and I was thinking, okay, as a dad, I can see this. As
Mhm.
Mhm.
an adult, I can see this. So what was going through your head when you came up with this storyline?
Jeremy, you
It
want
was
to take it or
exactly that. We're sorry, Nathan. We're
for it?
both dads, so we both have 4 kids each. So
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think it's just rewinding the tape a little bit. You had asked a question earlier, how long ago, and about 6 years ago, Jeremy and I embarked on this journey of this film. But even before then, we had both wanted to use the skills that God has given us and do something together, and something that would be uh, kind of true to our spiritual walk, but also true to our parental walk. And so that was something that was on both of our hearts. And when we kind of got together, um, we really set out to make a story that about undeserved grace and unconditional love. And Jeremy and I were Christian guys, and so we've experienced this kind of love and grace through what God has done through Jesus Christ, and when He saved us. And so, really, this is a story about our faith journey. We are that bear, but also as parents, we can kind of where we can see with the tree's perspective. I mean. What parent wouldn't lay down their life for their child, even if they wandered off, or even if they had done something horribly wrong or bad to you or whatever, you would still love them unconditionally. And the last thing I would say about that is that Jesus told a parable called the prodigal son, and this was loosely based off of that, where the the son essentially asked for his early inheritance, which would, since we only get inheritance with when, especially back then, 2000 years ago, when the parent died, he basically was saying, I wish you were dead, give me the money. And that's a pretty horrible thing for a son to say to a father, and he squanders it and comes back, but his father is wanting his son to come home. And when he eventually hits rock bottom after spending all the money, he goes back to his father and wants to is practicing his I'm sorry speech, but the father welcomes him home completely, restores him completely. The son thought he was going to be a servant at the best if his father would even take him back, but his father completely restored him. And that shows us a picture of um how God wants to have a relationship with us, and would stretch across an infinite chasm to save us. But also, it's a familial picture of what any parent or father would do to reach across, to embrace their child, and to reaffirm their love and restoration, of that. So it had multiple themes. And I think when Jeremy and I set out on it at the beginning, it certainly was our faith journey, but also our parental journey as well.
And I just wanted to add on to that too. In As we work on films, and as we go and watch films, some of the ones that I know I enjoy the most are ones that are working on those multiple levels
Yeah.
where you have you have imagery that again that can hold up no matter what. It's a really broad, enjoyable experience as it's broad in for like for our film we love nature. We love going on hikes with taking our families out to the woods, and there's a real love for this beautiful world that we live in. And there's also a love for animation. There's a love for stop motion animation and all these things that I'm sure we'll get into in coming up here. But there's just all these things that we kind of geek out about and enjoy so much. And then also having it all kind of when you find those ideas that kind of tie together
Mm.
multiple themes or multiple levels of that theme, that you just go, oh, we have to make this. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like and that's what gave us that extra bit of because this entire project was 6 years long. And it's all in our free time. So it was definitely a passion project, and it took that extra bit of investment and knowing that it would be worth it. Aside from the Oscar luncheon, which was really cool, it was the film itself was so worth it on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that, for me watching it anyway, that passion comes through. And like I say, the complex themes that are kind of running through it. We've just kind of gone through it there. You've got faith, you've got parenthood, you've got the environment. But the
Mm-hmm.
one that kind of really struck me was the theme of kindness and altruism running through your short. This idea of doing something for
Mm-hmm.
others with no expectations of anything in
Mm.
return. Now, I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about too much, get into the world of politics or anything like that. But for
Yeah.
me, this is kind of what the world needs at the moment.
Wow.
So was this going through your head when you made the film? Were you thinking of kind of global
100.
affairs?
Yeah. Well, not politics, but I mean,
Yeah,
100%, right, Jeremy? I mean, we were like, tensions are rising, right? You got this side versus
Mhm.
this side, and this
Exactly.
country against this country, and I think that again, kind of circling back to what Jesus said. I mean, he said to love our enemies
Yep.
and pray for those who persecute you. Like that's a pretty amazing thing for to have that perspective where the people that are maybe the most antagonistic, that you would extend, like a good Samaritan did, right? In that culture, Samaritans and were kind of like a half breed, and they were not liked, and so that was like scandalous for Jesus to talk about a Samaritan going and helping this Jewish person who was in trouble. And so, but it's like, but that's the picture, is that even those who may consider you an enemy or consider you someone they don't want to talk to, or again, like it's very much practical in our today, or today's culture, where we have that. And so we were absolutely thinking about this film, which is loving those who do, showing grace. Really, it's that undeserved grace. We absolutely need more of that in the world, of being able to share that kindness even when someone isn't kind to you first.
And
I
and
think
and
that's.
I and I will say on top of that too, when we started out on this film, I think we had that in our hearts that we wanted to sort of say, um, hey, here's a message that Nathan and we feel personal to us that is important. But as we reached out to our other filmmaker friends to help us make it, we also found that they connected with it on those kind of things. And then as we were, you know, a lot's happened in the last 6 years in our world, and tensions have risen, and the word hate is very prevalent in our society right now, in our world. And this film felt like it was very needed. So there was a conversation that I think really kind of came out. We were like, I am so glad we've been making this film as a way to
Mm,
we brought all these people together to make this, that were from all different ways of thinking about things. We didn't get into any of that stuff really with anybody, but we just worked together because we love working together. And we came together around this project because we all agreed that it was worthy to be made. And the only way to really prove that is by seeing the work that is on screen, that each of these individual people, talented people, put on that screen. They are the reason that it exists. And if one of them would have just done a little, pulled out their piece of this film, it would never have gotten done. And so it was just such a wonderful way to say, hey, yeah, we don't all agree on everything, but we can make something wonderful together.
And I think just to drive that home a little bit further, I mean, I think we didn't mention it before, but it's out there in the world that, we had 200 volunteers who were also giving of their time, free time, unpaid, out
Yeah.
of the generosity of their hearts. And just to reiterate, I mean, not everyone believes the same thing we believe, but they believed in the project. They loved the style, or they have a prodigal son themselves, and they know what it's like to love their child unconditionally. And so everyone saw something in the film, and so it was actually a cool situation to be able to see everyone from different backgrounds, different beliefs, building something together, seeing the particular thing that they saw in it, and having that harmonious, effort towards making something really beautiful. And so that was really a rewarding thing that I don't, not we didn't haven't had a chance to really talk specifically about that as in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
But that
And
was
there's one, sorry, there's one extra thing to that, adding on to that is that there was so much love and support from our crew to just say, we are so glad you guys shared your story with us. Like they were so happy that, I think that the feeling is, we should kind of be maybe quiet, a little quieter about our faith, or we don't obviously we don't want to offend anybody in their beliefs. But it just felt like this just wonderful, everyone just was enjoying each other, enjoying working with each other, enjoying this thing. So
yeah, that collaboration was
yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
the best crew ever.
Mhm.
That's great to hear. And I mean, okay, so thinking about all these themes, all these different themes that are going on in your film, I'm really interested to know why you chose the central characters of a bear and a tree. Where did that come from?
I don't know, Jeremy, do you want to take it, or do you want?
Well, okay, so Nathan had he had already been kind of chipping away, whittling away on a tree story for a couple of years, and we've been friends for a long time. And so he would kind of go, "Hey, Jeremy, come check this thing out that I'm working on. I could use some help, maybe some feedback or whatever." And I never could fully commit to jumping in and helping, storyboard it or whatever. But but he just kept plugging away, and he's so good at reaching out and finding people around him to come, to help make the thing. So he kind of actually early on pioneered how to even make this film in our free time. So Nathan was off doing this, and you did that for 2 or 3 years or something before
That was
I
pretty
even
good.
came on.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, we had this lunch, and it was just this great time, him and I just kind of catching up. I had just had our fourth and final child, our young boy, Rhett. And so I came back from maternity leave, and I was just downloading with Nathan all the things that like I really kind of wanting to do maybe some new things, chart some new territory. And he'd also been wanting to do that. We both love our jobs, we love what we're doing, but we have that itch to try new things and grow in our careers. And so Nathan was like, "Hey, what if you directed this film with me? What if we were together on it, as opposed to you just coming on and doing a piece?" So I spent 2 weeks, and then I was going to come back and pitch him sort of a revised version. That's what my job is at
Yeah.
Disney. Is I strip the story down, I help build it back up. We just are constantly doing that for 2 to 3 years on film. So I did that 2 weeks, spent some time researching trees. I have a deep, Nathan as well, like a deep love for being out in the big, giant sequoia redwood trees, the pine trees out there. And I came across this image of a big giant sequoia redwood that had fallen across a divide, and there was a waterfall in the background. And there was this clarity moment. It literally was like the light bulb going off and the light,
Yeah.
you know, light shining down, like this is it. And so what it was is I saw that this tree could be this bridge for this. And I, at the time, I don't have it with me here, but I have this bear. Actually, I do have it. Hold on, it's behind my computer. I had been carving this wooden
Oh wow.
figurine, and selling a bunch. I had been selling these back in 2019, 2018. And so I was deep in Bearland. I was making all these bears. And so I just naturally I thought, well, what kind of character if he's falling across the divide to save something? Oh, but maybe it's a bear. Maybe this is a bear that's just like you know, it's the bear represents us, like humanity, and this tree could represent God. And so the initial tree story was actually reversed of that Nathan was working on. So it was one of those moments where I was like, shoot, I don't want to derail his idea because it's really good and he has been spending so much time on it. But I was like, I have to pitch him this new thing. And it was based on there's an image of sort of two side this is you know from our background growing up in the a church is there's like two cliff sides. There's God on one side and man on the other, and then there's a cross that bridges the divide. And it's just a
Okay.
simple, they call it a Bible tract. They call it it's just a thing you can hand to somebody and start a conversation. And so it was that image that I saw, and I was like, "Oh, that's a clear way we could use nature to do it, and it's something that I think everyone could appreciate."
Yeah.
So I pitched this idea to him. I pitched him this other one and sort of the notes that I had, and then I got to this. And I was like, "But I need to show you this one other thing." And I got to the drawing of the tree falling across the divide, and Nathan just he's like, "No way, this is crazy." He goes, "I have this drawing on my desk. I just drew this week because I was having a conversation with someone at work, trying to just share what it means to be that they were like, what does it mean to be a Christian? Or they were asking questions, and he was just like, well, let me show you what it is, and he just drew that same drawing out.
Mm.
And it was in that moment that I think he and I we just felt like, I mean, this is for us, this is what it was. It was God saying, you guys need to make this. Like I'm pulling you guys together. This is meant to be. Go do it. Make this message for the world of hope. Make this message of, again, that undeserved grace message. And it was just great because as Nathan and I, then that was the starting point.
Mm.
Then Nathan came in with his story brain, and he actually brought the prodigal son aspect to it. So he
Okay.
added this whole, you know, the cub growing up and the like that whole aspect of the story, which made it so much more rich and full, and it you know made the film longer probably, but we had more time to kind of get to know their relationship before it broke.
Yeah.
And so Nathan and I just it was such a joy to get to write this film together. We would spend evenings Google Docking with each other, you know, as the kids were to bed, and we'd be on the couch, you know, writing the film and beating it up and trying, you know, building it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, so that's kind of how it started. It's a long story, but
No, but I mean, in short, we always joke. I brought the tree and he brought the bear.
yeah.
And it's you know, it's interesting you showed the wooden carving of the bear.
Yeah.
I knew from my research that you did this. And it's one of the things I was really fascinated in with the aesthetic
Oh, cool.
of the film. So I mean, I'm not an animator myself, but I mean animation's kind of my love. I know enough to be able to recognize techniques when I watch an animation film. But there was
Yeah.
points when I was watching Forevergreen when I was like, this is a CGI film. But then I started to doubt it. I was looking at the wood grain, and the way the way the characters moved, and I was like, no, it could be stop motion. It could just be like a really impressive stop motion. And I was just having these moments, and I wanted to know about that and why that approach. It's such a tactile looking film for CG. It almost feels like You know, I can see the fingerprints on the
Mm,
models where they've been hand carved or whatever.
yeah.
What was it about? What was it about this look and this approach that you really wanted?
Well, success, first of all. Jeremy and I always talk about, like, wouldn't it be great if people just didn't know what it was? Um, Jeremy, do you
Yeah,
mind if I
you
jump in?
made our day. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Jeremy, I'll jump. Do you mind if I jump in on this one?
yeah, please. Yes. Oh, yes.
So okay. Rewinding, I mean, Jeremy's got an incredible, I mean, you've seen it, like his wooden aesthetic. I mean, he's been developing that for years,
Yeah,
and both him and I share a love for stop motion. I actually wanted to be a stop motion animator before becoming a CG animator. And so this really is a love letter to stop motion for both of us. We love Aardman, we love, Rankin Bass. I mean, and this really is sort of a nostalgic, we were going for something like that that had that built-in nostalgia. And so I we when we started he when he shared the story, trees being wooden. Here's Jeremy's production. He's also served as a production designer on the film. He's already established this design language, and we thought, we could probably get some big wins quickly if we took that style. I saw some of these unfinished carvings that he had done. I thought, man, how cool would it be to see these things move? Which wasn't a new idea. I mean, he had thought about that. Our head of animation, Wayne Unton, had been thinking about that because we were familiar with the things he was making. And so I think I suggested, like, why don't we do this in this style? And I was like, can I borrow this? And kind of without his permission, sort of ran off to my desk and started prototyping something that would later become kind of the stop motion replacement animation idea, which was really what became kind of the heartbeat of the visual, again, that stop motion visual style, mixed with bringing Jeremy's wooden aesthetic. So Jeremy brought the design, and I was trying to figure out how to move it. And so I ended up doing a little idea like that was like in CG. We have rigs and stuff like that, and I ended up
yeah,
just taking something and uh, kind of doing a little visibility trick where I have a control, but there's no joints or anything like that. And basically, what it was, I modeled all these different heads and I put different textures on each one. I wonkified each one, and then I just opened and closed the jaw, and it was basically cycling through like what a stop motion animator would do with different heads in a
yeah,
drawer,
yeah,
but I was just doing it digitally. And so completely taking a page, just stealing from stop motion and the things that we loved about that tactile handcrafted feel.
hmm,
And those became big words, by the way, for our film was like handcrafted, limitations, because we were thinking, what if this was a real, we always try to think if this was a real stop motion set, like how would we solve this problem? And then we would try to find the CG adaptation for that.
yeah,
And so, CG is very good at becoming rubbery or bending and not adhering to materials and so, we've been trained many years about the truth of materials and how it helps you stay in the story. And so we wanted to lean into that. And so with, again, the trees being wooden, it just sort of started fitting all
yeah,
together that, okay, if this means this, then this means that, then it has to mean that, right? So it's like we're committing to the wooden thing. We don't want bendy wood. We should probably look at replacement stop motion animation, what that does. Here's a little prototype of what that does. And you start to see the oscillation, the textural boil, the wood, the silhouette boil that was happening. It was like, oh, we just started getting really excited. Like, what if we built a whole system around this and gave the controls to the animators so that they could do a unique like the conceit was a unique sculpture as if Jeremy had sculpted it for every frame of animation. And so that's what we tried to do. And
And no matter how hard I try to carve the same exact figurine with a slightly different pose, there would have always been that little bit of imperfection, that
oh yeah,
handcraftedness.
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what we did, and we had an incredible team led by Colin Eckhart, and then the one of our lead texture artists, or we call it look artist, but Rich Fallett. He came up with that initial texture system, and then Colin helped to bring sort of a procedural way because we had to do it for the tree as well. And that style emerged. Again, it's one thing just to say, "Oh, look at this cool style." It always has to emerge out of the narrative. And
yeah,
so we made sure, I mean, again, this had the spiritual allegory. And if you're familiar with the Bible or the book of Genesis, the very first book, it talks about how God made man in his own image. And so we wanted this feeling of the bear in that Genesis 1 sort of allegorical type of way could have been carved from the tree. And so that it relationally would look like they belong together. And then when the bear is in this pile of vacuum formed plastic trash, we would subliminally feel like he was not where he belonged.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, sorry, real quick, the vacuum the vacuum form trash. Having kids, we're always stepping on toys, and we're so it's just like I think it was Nathan who's like, dude, what if you could see the seam, the little the plastic seam, and I'm telling you, like it is there. If you zoom in close enough, all that stuff is there, and it's just adds that subtle, contrast, between the two materials. It's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, well, you definitely, like I say, you definitely put some doubt in my mind, especially when I saw the wood grain. I was like, is it hand carved? And the thing that got me was the water and how you even managed to make
Mhm.
that feel wooden when the splashes of the water
Mhm.
come up and it looks like wood shavings. I mean, the attention to detail in the animation
Yeah.
is fantastic. And honestly, I could speak about that for ages, but I'm going to try and move on, even though I have so many more questions
Yeah.
to ask.
I will
Um,
say, I will say,
yep,
if
go for it.
you have a chance, we do have the art of the book that is
Yes,
the art of book for this film. It's on our website,
Mhm.
and it's downloadable. Anyone can look at it. And we have a lot more behind the scenes imagery of the water, the creation of the waterfall, and the wood curls and everything in there.
fantastic. We'll put a link for that in the YouTube description.
Great.
Um, so I'm really interested just to know, you've both obviously got experience working on feature films. Um, I'm really interested to know if you were going to give advice to a short filmmaker,
Yeah.
with your background and what you've learned from making this, what would kind of be one piece of advice you'd give?
I would say don't make what you think other people want you to make. I would say uh, be true to what is in your heart. Make sure to say that and say it clearly, say it visually. Like
Yeah,
those are the things where um, it's difficult to make these things. It's incredibly difficult and it takes years. I mean, we were talking with so many directors, and the common number I kept hearing was like 5 to 6 years for all of the nominees in the animated short category for a short. Some people are
yeah,
like, yeah, 15 minutes for 5 years. It's like that's well, you're getting 3 minutes a year or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's like that's crazy. And so is yeah, so you have to be able to love what you're doing and you have to believe in it.
yeah,
And so I would say just make sure to do that and make sure that it's something that will resonate with people. I think that's the other thing that was really important to us, that this resonated with everyone, even if it was a very specific story, for us.
yeah,
Yeah, and I would say, so for me, being in the story development for so many years, I just really love it. If I could encourage, I think it's very easy to just go down a million. It's because there's a million different options, a million different trails. But if you can just find one thing that you want to say, one simple setup and one payoff at the end, of one idea, to me, because then there's so much, once you know what you're trying to say and it's just that one thing, then there's so many great juicy moments that you can have actually speaking to all of that. So it's really about, instead of having multiple things that you're excited about, which is I get excited about multiple things, but it really helps you to kind of focus it, and it ends up being probably a shorter, it's not going to be a 20-minute, 30-minute long thing. It'll be more concise. So that's my bit of advice. And again, it's not everything has to be that way, but that's what I would say.
good advice, really good advice. And thanks for sharing that. So finally, before we wrap up here, this is a question we're asking every filmmaker we talk to, and that's, we're just asking for one short film recommendation, one film you really love, and a quick kind of explanation of why you love it.
Okay. Jeremy, do you have one or do you want me to go?
Yeah, well, piggybacking off of what I was just talking about too, the film that comes to my mind is Pixar did a short film called For the Birds. If
Yeah.
you've seen that. And it was directed by Ralph Eggleston, amazing production designer up there. Uh, but what I was most impressed by is again that simplicity of storytelling. I think it's 3.5 minutes long, I think. And it introduces great characters that it gives you a good little chuckle, a good little laugh. It feels something relatable. It's truthful that anyone in the audience goes, "Oh, I identify with that character," you know. And what I love is again, it's just a big long setup and then the payoff at the end. And it's just so satisfying when the bird lands and and he's just kind of looking around and then all those other birds land and they're all without their feathers and one puts the feather in front of him and he just like and he's like laughing. To me it's just perfect. I love
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah, it's a classic.
And then I would have to say The Wrong Trousers by Nick Park. I mean, again, the stop motion thing. I wanted to live in that world. I loved every aspect of it. The hand craftsmanship, the animation is brilliant. The story is funny and witty, and one of my favorite scenes in that is the train chase inside the house.
Yeah.
Just even on a technical level, it just is so fun, and it gives you a good laugh. And yeah, I just think character wise as well as an animator, I mean, you can get so much across with no dialogue. I think that as an animator, that really appealed to me. The penguin in that film is one of the most villainous characters,
Yeah.
and it says absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then you've got Gromit that also doesn't have a mouth, and so it's just kind of an amazing feat of animation and story and craft all together, which is why I really love it. So, I mean, it's one of my favorite films, period. It's just something that had such an incredible mark on me as an artist and animator.
Two great recommendations. If you haven't seen those films, I highly recommend going to check them out. So, I mean, that was our final question today. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us on Director's Notes to talk about your film. I really, really hope you enjoy the rest of your Oscar experience. Like you say, it's been such a journey. I know 6 years in the making. Enjoy every minute of that experience, and thank you for sharing that insight into your film. I hope everyone out there who's watching has found it inspiring and interesting. You can view more of these interviews on our YouTube channel or on directorsnotes.com. Thank you.